history of ancient Filipino culture emerges as a tapestry woven from the threads of diverse influences, spanning millennia of indigenous traditions, colonial encounters, and maritime trade connections. From the prehistoric migrations of Austronesian peoples to the colonial encounters with Spanish, Chinese, and Malay influences, the cultural landscape of ancient Philippines reflects a rich mosaic of customs, beliefs, arts, and technologies. In today's episode of Herodotus TV, we will uncover the cultural changes under the Spanish colonization. How did the culture, politics, and economics of the Philippines change during the Spanish period? The question we need to answer by the end of this video. 1. Filipino houses in the Spanish period. Filipinos started building stone houses during the Spanish period. It was the rich Filipinos at that time who were the first to have stone houses built. Stone houses were made of brick and stone, instead of the traditional bamboo. In the 19th century, the rich Filipinos had extravagant houses built. It has a sturdy stone foundation and an overlapping second floor made of wood. The well-preserved example of the stone house may be seen and admired in Vigan, Ilocos Sur 2. System of writing. The Latin alphabet was the system of writing used by the Filipinos during colonial period. Filipinos favored Latin alphabet over babaylan because of social conformity. They realized that Latin alphabet was easier to learn and it helps them with their dealings with the Spaniards. By learning Latin alphabet, Filipinos were able to work for the Spaniards. 3. Manner of dressing. For men, the cangan a, collarless, short-sleeved jacket, and bahag, G-string, were replaced by barong Tagalog or camisa de chino. The sombrero, hat, took the place of the putong, headdress or turban. Shoes and slippers became part of men's fashion. The barong Tagalog or barong, from the word baro, is a formal wear in the Philippines. For women, the women wore baro at saya, which were derived from the dresses of mestizas. The dress improved on many layers of clothing, the kimono or underskirt. The baro is an outer garment made of very sheer material that is beautifully embroidered, and has loose sleeve. The pañuelo that was soaked in starch to make it stiff and upright, the naguas or petticoat. The saya is a skirt worn over a petticoat and bunched up at the back to show the skirt. 4. Education. During the Spanish colonial period, there were widespread changes in education. Formal education is rooted in religion because it is headed by the church. The Spanish missionaries had established schools. These schools consists of 3 levels: elementary, secondary, and university. The missionaries served as the teachers to the children who were taught to write, count, and read. They also taught Filipinos prayers and good manners. They used the schools to propagate Christianity. The missionaries also built schools for training teachers, and an exclusive schools for boys and for girls. 5. Architecture. Philippine architecture showed Spanish influences. Big churches made of bricks that were built during the colonial period dominated the townscape. Many churches were made of local materials such as corals and volcanic rock. They used the Baroque architecture in building churches so it can withstand typhoons and earthquakes. The churches that the friars built in the Philippines are still standing to this day. 6. Spanish surnames. In 1849, Governor Narciso Claveria mandated the use of Spanish surnames. The surnames derived from names of saints, pure-blooded Chinese people, names of plants and animals, geographical names and art. Filipinos had to adopt names such as Rizal, Del Pilar, and Luna, although some native names, such as Mabini, Malantic, Dandan, and Panganiban were retained. The surnames one could choose from could be found in the book, Catalogo Alfabetico de Apellidos. 7. Food. During the Spanish colonial period, Spanish food such as adobo, menudo, sarciado, puchero, and machado were introduced to Filipinos. Filipinos also made their own versions of pancit, a Chinese noodle dish, such as pancit malabon and pancit luglog. 8. Structure of the society. There were also changes in the structure of society with the arrival of Spaniards in the Philippines. The Spaniards in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period belonged to two classes. First is peninsulars, Spaniards in the Philippines who were born in Spain. And the other one is insulars, Spaniards born in the Philippines. We also have mestizo, they had native blood, but they also had Spanish or Chinese blood. Lower class compared to Spaniards. However, they were above Indios. Another one is Principalia, made up of town mayor and cabeza de barangay. They governed the districts and were given medals for civil merit. They were also characterized by the following. 1. They were exempted from forced labor. They were allowed to vote and could be elected to public office, and may use the titles Don and Doña. 2. They had definite duties in the church, such as helping the priests in pastoral and other religious tasks. For ilustrado, Spanish word for intelligent or enlightened. Made up of Filipinos who studied in Europe during the colonial period, especially towards the end of the 19th century. They belonged to the middle class in the Philippines. They were exposed to the liberal views of the Spaniards and the nationalistic sentiments of Europeans. And lastly the Indio, the natives of colonial Philippines were called Indios. Effects of changes during the Spanish period. 1. They succeeded in propagating Christianity. 2. Math and science were not given attention because they focused on religion. 3. Stone houses helped withstand typhoons and earthquakes. 4. A lot of Filipinos were given the chance to show their intelligence and skills. 5. The way they dressed. 6. The food. 7. Destruction of ancient beliefs. Now, let's go back to the question. How did the culture, politics, and economics of the Philippines change during the Spanish period?